Hello, I'm Judith Beville, Greenburgh Town Clerk, and one of the coordinators of Student News Network, along with Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. It is my pleasure to present to you these 4 students who live in the town of Greenburgh, bringing to you this special edition of Student News Network. Coming up, a visit with Greenburgh's problem solver, a unique 4-legged police officer, a survivor of a heartbreaking moment in America's history, and a little-known wonder of Greenburgh.
We will start today with some trivia. What man in the town of Greenburgh is known as the problem solver? The answer, Paul Feiner, town supervisor of the town of Greenburgh. Here he tells us what problem he was solving by creating Student News Network.
Students who don't really know what they're going to do after they graduate school, and the goal of Student News Network is to provide students with exposure so they could learn about government, so they could interact with elected officials, so they could learn about the media and hopefully consider a career in public service. So what we're really doing is we're giving students an opportunity to get exposure to things that they normally would not get in school.
Another problem solved by Greenburgh's one and only mobile problem solver. Next up, my coworker Herschel meets man's best friend on a trip to the Greenburgh Police Department. Herschel, you're up.
Did you know one of Greenburgh's finest has 4 legs and a tail is named Metro? We will meet Metro, a canine that helps the Greenburgh Police Department.
2002 is when we reinstated the canine unit. There's a Metropolis Country Club in the town of Greenburgh, and they made a large donation for the purchase of the dog and for the training. We named the dog Metro, short for Metropolis. I'm in charge of just making sure the canine unit is run in the most proficient way possible, and to keep him up on his skills, because you're trying to communicate with an animal. You have to be very patient and understand that he's not going to pick up things right away. But for him, he just has what we call a very high play drive. So that's what I kind of think is a little bit more distinct about him than other dogs that I've trained.
Takes a lot of patience to teach a canine. 1 month after training Metro, he performed one of his greatest accomplishments.
We had a house in the town of Greenburgh that was burglarized, and one of the neighbors saw someone go into the house and they weren't sure if the party left the house. So we were pretty confident that we thought that there could be a chance that someone was still in this house. We got there, the whole SWAT team got there, and we were not able to find anything. Then I was called into the scene with the dog, sent the dog into the house, Metro, and he gave us an indication that there was someone inside the dryer. And without the dog, we would have never found this person. He's a family member, friend, coworker.
These are just a few great accomplishments of Metro as a Greenburgh Police Department canine. Now we will go to Abby, who was with Dr. Olivia J. Hooker, who survived the threatening Tulsa, Oklahoma riots.
Did you know that Olivia J. Hooker survived the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots in 1921? This amazing woman welcomed us into her home in Greenburgh, New York, where we found out some facts you'd never believe.
I was 6 when the riots happened, and at 6 years of age, I had been in school 2 years already in a little private school, and I could read, but I thought everything like "My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty," I thought it meant me too. And then I got up that morning and I heard something hitting the house going bop, 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 like that. And I said to my mother, "How can it be hailing when the sun is shining?" And my mother said, "Come with me." She took me to the window to peep through the blinds. And she said, "You see that thing up there on the hill?" I said, "Yes." She said, "That's a machine gun. And you see the American flag on top of it. That means your country is shooting at you." I was shocked that my country would shoot at me. And it was just unfathomable. So that was the beginning.
From her experience living during the Tulsa riots, Dr. Hooker urged that the freedom of the press is important and that we should learn about the Sunshine Law that allows anybody to go into government records for findings that have been suppressed from the news outlets. She then went on to share with me this token of wisdom.
And I think parents should take their children with them when they go to the polls. Let them see all these people making decisions. And some children learn very early. I heard this joke on television. This man said his 4-year-old kid came to him and said, "Daddy, how do you spell constitutional?" And he said, "Well, I'll spell it for you, but why do you need to spell?" She said, "Well, they took away our graham crackers and milk snacks because some families can't afford to bring the graham crackers when it's their turn." And they said, "We want to march. We are making a sign, and we're going to march for our right to graham crackers and milk." And the man said, he said to his daughter, "I don't know that you have a constitutional right to graham crackers and milk." And he said, his daughter said, "What about life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness?" He said he was so amazed that she knew that. And so he helped her spell so she could march at school for graham crackers and milk. But that's good. You should grow up knowing that if things aren't right, there's some ways, non-violent ways, to be peaceable and still fight for your rights.
At the age of 97, she is one of the few remaining survivors of this little-known tragedy in America's history, and she is one of our neighbors right here in Greenburgh. And now, Student News Network correspondent Julia talks about how we can do our part to keep Greenburgh green.
Environmental issues are getting extreme, but the answer to a cleaner and greener Westchester may be as close as your own backyard. I spoke with Ann Jaffe Holmes, Environmental Projects Coordinator at the Greenburgh Nature Center, who explained Greenburgh's initiatives to cut costs and help the environment.
The Green Policy Task Force of Irvington was looking for an environmental project that every citizen could participate in that would both help the environment of Irvington but also save money. This is how, when the leaves are shredded, they get down to this fine size, but in a very short amount of time, the water, the bacteria, and the macroinvertebrates in the soil turn it into this wonderful compost that is extremely helpful for holding water and providing nutrition in your soil. This has to be done by landscapers. It saves them time and money, and it also enhances the properties that they're working on. The county saves money. After the municipalities collect the leaves, they deliver them to transfer stations. But then the county has to cart all those leaves hundreds of miles away to be turned into compost. That costs the county approximately $4.7 million annually just for leaves.
So what more can we do?
Spread the word and try it on your own property. That's the big thing, because every property that does it and where people can see that it really works, it looks good. You can see under this laurel tree, that's a good looking mulch. That's as good looking as any pine bark or dyed chips that you could buy, and it's free. You produce it yourself. So try it on your own property. Put these shredded leaves on your own garden beds, shred them right into your turf, and see the results for yourself. Give it 1 or 2 years, and I think everyone in the county is going to be doing this by their own choice, and we're all going to see a great savings.
These were our hometown highlights brought to you by the Student News Network. Thanks for watching.
That's a wrap, as they say.